If you're a church leader who's ever been through budgeting season, you know how stressful it can be. But what if I told you your budget is one of the most spiritual tools you have? Because it's not just numbers, it's a reflection of your church's values, priorities, and faith in action. If you want to know where your church is going, look at where the money flows. People are programs, missions or maintenance. Many churches slip into the same mistakes with their budgets. Let's walk through 3 of the big ones and how you can avoid them this year. The first mistake is treating the budget like a calculator instead of a compass. If the budget is just money in, money out, then you're managing numbers, not leading ministry. Yes, it's important to pay attention to inflation, unemployment, and giving trends, but those economic numbers don't tell the whole story. Too often, leaders blame the economy for weak giving when the real issue is a weak connection to the mission. For example, if your global outreach giving dropped, ask yourself, have we communicated the need for global outreach? Did we spend enough time planning why these programs matter? Or maybe you need to pivot entirely. Is global outreach still where God is leading us? Or is He calling us to focus more deeply on our local community? A healthy budget is a compass. It keeps the church aligned with the mission. This also means thinking beyond 1 year at a time. A good budget balances short-term needs with long-term vision. It considers things like payroll realities, cost of living raises, benefits, and taxes. It anticipates unpredictability. If you're a young church or a church plant, you may not know what income looks like 6 months from now. That uncertainty doesn't mean you stop budgeting. It means you hold it with faith and flexibility. Overall, when your budget is a compass, it becomes less about stress and more about direction. People will rise up when they believe in a mission that truly matters to them, and that leads to the next mistake. Mistake 2 is failing to connect generosity with vision. People don't give to numbers, they give to impact. If you want people to support the budget, you have to connect the dots for them. Instead of saying, we spent $10,000 on student ministry, say, that investment allowed 200 students to hear the gospel every week. Instead of saying, we budgeted $5,000 for outreach, say, because of this allocation, 50 struggling families in our community had food on their tables. Budgets that inspire are budgets that tell a story. People unite behind a vision that makes spiritual sense, not just practical sense. And don't miss this, when vision and budget are clearly aligned, you're not just covering costs, you're actually raising engagement. The number 1 indicator of someone's engagement level is their giving. When people understand where the church is going and see how they can help, generosity grows, without you even preaching a sermon on tithing. Mistake 3 is planning in isolation. When pastors, admins, and finance teams work separately, the budget feels misaligned. But when vision, systems, and accountability come together, the budget becomes a unifying tool. This means no more hiding the process. Too many churches discourage people from being involved in budget season because they're afraid of criticism. But transparency actually strengthens trust. Budget meetings should be moments of celebration, not tension. They're opportunities to say, here's the vision, here's the plan, and here's how your generosity makes it possible. Tough conversations can challenge teams too. Different departments may want more resources, but it's not about my team or your team. It's about the church's mission as a whole. Breaking down silos is critical. When staff and committees stop competing and start uniting around the vision, the budget shifts from being divisive to being energizing. And don't just repeat last year's formula with a few adjustments. A flat, let's say 5% increase across departments doesn't reflect real ministry. Instead, honestly ask each other, where is our ministry bearing fruit? What areas need pruning? What new opportunities require above and beyond generosity? When you involve your people, budget season becomes a chance to raise not just dollars, but also volunteers, engagement, and momentum. So, how do you approach budget season the right way? Here are 5 simple steps. Pray first. A budget without a prayer is just a business plan. A budget with prayer is a faith plan. Prayer reminds you that you're stewarding God's resources. Second, clarify the vision. Before assigning dollars, agree on the bigger goals God is calling you to. Third, tell stories. Tie every budget line to a person, ministry, or life change. Fourth, build margin. Ministry opportunities pop up. A little margin creates freedom instead of panic. Finally, Discuss the details as a team. A collaborative process builds unity and trust. Budgeting doesn't have to be scary. It can be one of the most exciting parts of ministry because it's not about expenses, it's about impact. It's not about tracking dollars, it's about transforming lives. And it all comes down to faith over metrics. When you create a budget, you're not just making projections. You're saying, God, here is how we are stewarding what you've given us, and we're trusting you for the increase. So this fall, don't just build a budget, build a vision plan. Build a story. Show your church what's possible with their generosity. Thanks for watching. And if you want more practical strategies on church engagement, pastoring, and building generosity, make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.